Today we're going to talk about the top 5 mistakes entrepreneurs make before they even get started. In other words, are the top 5 things I wish somebody would have told me before I got started. How's it going? My name is Gus Ruballo and welcome back to Playbook Podcast. This is a Gwinnett Business Hub podcast and I am the founder and creator of it. And so let's get right into it. And so again, like I said, these are some of the 5 things I wish somebody would have told me before I got started. Because there are so many things I could have avoided with just these simple 5 things. So whether you are someone in business already, my hope is that you can take these 5 things or your own 5 things and share them with someone who is starting. Because if you are starting, again, I hope that this can help you as you get into your startup, as you get into your business, as you start thinking about, okay, what are some things that I want to start creating and building and monetizing on? I'm encouraging you, please pause for a moment and just think about these next 5 things. And so without further ado, mistake number 1 is starting without market research. What does that mean? It's building products nobody wants. That's what a lot of us want to do, because here's what happens. We get so passionate about our services or our products, but it's not always the case that that's what people are looking for, if we're being honest. And I've found that out a lot. I'll give you a very specific example. I tried creating just about 3 years ago a PLR website, both in English and in Spanish. And there was already so many PLR sites that are offering it at very, very low and cost-effective pricing. And I found out really quick within probably about half a year, and I still had it open for up to 2 years and marketed and so on. No one's really looking for PLR, especially when AI hit the market. PLR is like, who needs it anymore? Because ChatGPT can create it for you. And so I found that really fast, again, as I was building products that nobody really wanted. So, and another part of that is not understanding your target audience. Is that sometimes we can get into this mentality of like, I'm going to create this awesome product, but we don't even know who we're trying to sell it to. And on the flip side of that, and some of the advice that many entrepreneurs, and I will personally give you as well, is that if you're not solving people's problems, you shouldn't try to be selling it. If your service and product, again, if your service and your product is not solving somebody's problem or making their life easier, it's going to be harder for you to compel or to try to convince somebody to buy it. And again, so the last part of this is ignoring competition analysis. So here's a thought. You don't really need a lot of social media. You don't really need a lot of platforms and these tools. You can just start doing social media research. You can do website research. There are free tools, SEO tools that you can just add to your Google Chrome toolbar. And you can see how many people are visiting these websites. You can see based off the comments and the likes on their social posts, how many people are actually interacting and engaging and asking questions. And here's a thought on that. If people are asking questions in the comments of your competitors, that's your opportunity for content. That's your opportunity to take those questions, start making content. And in some cases, you could even tag these people or share with them directly. Hey, I saw your question. Here's a video on it. And so, again, ignoring competition analysis. And so do not avoid market research. It is crucial and important for your business success. Mistake number 2 is poor financial management. And let me tell you, I experienced this far too much than I should have, because I think I could have learned my lesson sooner. And so I'll give you these 3 points on this. Is underestimating the startup costs. And my now friend and business partner, who is very successful in a lot of things that he has done globally, has told me that it's going to cost you twice as much. It's going to take twice as much manpower, and it's going to take you twice as long. So and the whole idea of that is that you could prepare a little bit more than you actually think it's going to cost you, because sometimes you think, oh yeah, this is going to cost me just $1,000 to get started. but it's actually going to cost you 2, and it's actually going to take you 6 months, and it's actually going to take you a team of 4 rather than 2, or just even yourself. Sometimes you can do it yourself. Again, depending on the business that you're creating. But if it's a brick and mortar, you're probably going to need at least one other person, or maybe 3 other people. Who knows? But again, another part of this is not maintaining cash flow reserves. And the thought is, and here's what happened to me a lot. As soon as I saw money in the account, I was already spending. I was already buying. I was thinking, okay, I can go out and buy this. And sometimes it was for the business, sometimes it wasn't. And then I was just thinking, okay, well, my problems are solved. Money is coming in. But I didn't allow myself the flexibility or even the timeline of 6 months to 12 months of seeing cash flow and setting some aside for that. Aside from just paying myself, I just overdid it. And I think sometimes we can just get really excited, because I think if we're honest, many of us start creating businesses because we're trying to solve. This is probably one of the top 5 reasons why we're starting businesses, is we're trying to solve or help or prepare for our own finances, whether you are married or you're not, but you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about your future, you're thinking about future investments, you're thinking about assets, you're thinking about something bigger than what's in front of you. And so sometimes that the poor financial management could really hinder what we're trying to build. And so, and again, another part of the poor financial management is that we can sometimes mix personal and business finances. And again, I think I have so many examples where I did that. And separating a business account from your personal account is very crucial. And I'll give you this very, very, very practical advice. Again, whether you're in business or not, here's my practical advice. Separate those 2 accounts, and so that they're not linked, and so that you actually have to log into a separate app to be able to access your business ones, and a separate app to access your personal ones. Again, that's probably if it's you who's having the poor financial management. The reason why I say such a small and practical advice, and some of you, it's okay, are going to disagree with me. I'm just saying, if you feel you're one of those few that have poor financial management, separate them, because sometimes it can just be easy to just link, transfer, and spend, and just think that it's all within the same pot, but it's not. It should be separated. I'm just encouraging you to separate it. And continuing now. So it's mistake number 3. And I think a lot of us are building businesses that require more than just us. So mistake number 3 is this: trying to do everything alone. So let me put a pause there. You might not just be building a business where it's just you alone. So this is obviously for you. But even if you are building a business that you can manage and run yourself, because I've been hearing a lot of inspiring stories on some podcasts that I've been listening to of these solo content creators or influencers or authors or authorities in very specific niches and industries have created these empires, right? But so even if that's you don't have to do things alone. For example, whether you're alone or not, there are ways that you can delegate tasks. So if you are alone, for example, I'm at the point now where I'm having to delegate even through people on Upwork and some on Fiverr, and getting some volunteers at our local church because they're always wanting to learn, and I can teach them and I can get some tasks off of me. But if you are building a team type or team oriented business, then for sure you need to start delegating your tasks and start spreading the responsibilities across your business. Another part is failing to build a support network. I think it's a good thing to start at the beginning, to have people around you who know what you're doing and you can hold some accountability with them and keep them updated and keep them posted as to what's going on. So that brings me to this next point: is avoiding mentorship opportunities. This is another mistake when we try to do things alone. So I was just recently reading and listening to Noah Kagan's book called $1 Million Weekend. And one of the things that he says on there that I'm actually going to be doing from one of the new projects I have is, he says, reach out to one person. I'm going to reach out to at least 5 people, but reach out to one person and ask them and saying, hey, I'm going through this business course, and I've been asked to ask somebody for $1 investment into my startup, into my business. And I thought of you immediately. So would you give me $1 right now? And in return, I will keep you posted. I will keep you updated, and I will. You could ask me all the questions you would like in regards to my business. And as simple as something like that sounds, I think it's going to be very helpful to just get your mind on the fact that, okay, somebody out there knows that I'm building this. And secondly, they're invested into this. Even if it is $1, it doesn't matter. The fact that you know that somebody's invested into it, it's important for you to actually do that. So if that's you, go ahead and do that. I challenge you. And again, if you're looking for a great read, $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan is really good. And mistake number 4 is scaling too quickly, is hiring too fast, taking on too many projects. And sometimes we want to expand before establishing core business. And like I said earlier in one of the other points, is giving yourself 6 to 12 months of cash flow, of success, or even figuring out, okay, what does troubleshooting the hard times look like? Give yourself a time frame before you call it quits, or before you even try to grow it bigger. I think you should set some of these goals beforehand and say, okay, what do we call success? What are we calling profit? What are we calling, what are some milestones where we can actually start saying, all right, this is where we hire this type of person. And another side note, I'll give you this as a little added bonus, is start thinking about who you're going to be adding to your business. And lastly, we're rounding it off with mistake number 5, and it's neglecting online presence. And I think that sometimes some of us, and I think I did this a few years ago, is that we can think that, well, if I build it, they'll come. That's a myth. That's not just a mistake. That's a myth, that if I build it, they will come. Neglecting online presence is a huge mistake, is to think that I can somehow build something and people are just going to find out about it just because is a huge error in my opinion. And so it could be because of poor social media strategy, or sometimes it could be because of an outdated website. We're probably still running on JavaScript, and rather than on HTML or WordPress or Wix, and however these other website platforms, which are so many options now for you to create websites. And then also inconsistent branding. You're trying to market, whether you're creating ads, whether you're doing print, whether you're putting posters or putting business cards or flyers out in public places or networking groups. Your branding, your colors, your fonts, your logos, everything should be cohesive, so that when someone sees it somewhere in one part of your town and sees it in another part of your town, they can immediately connect the dots and say, okay, this is that business. I remember that. I remember seeing this. And I don't know if you know this part, but it takes about 6 marketing points, 6 points of references before someone can conclude or come into this, okay, I'm going to make a purchase. So every time someone encounters your business, that's a touch point, a marketing point. So if it's your logo, if it's a post that you put, if it's something that you printed in the newspaper, or you came out as a guest on somebody's podcast, those are all points of references that people are recording. And so again, let's avoid these mistakes, especially if you are a startup. Again, like I said earlier, and I think a lot of us usually give advice in this way, is that these are things I would have really hoped someone would have told me years ago before I started building some of the projects I did, which ended up being a waste of time and waste of money. And so again, I hope that whether you're in business or not, especially if you're trying to start, take these 5 mistakes, learn. Wisdom would be for you to learn from the mistakes of others, and please learn from mine. Seek mentors around you. There's probably businesses near you where the people are very successful, and you can just ask for mentorship, ask for advice, ask for accountability, reach out to people who can actually help you. And so I'm going to give you a very quick action step that you can take. So take 30 minutes today, right now, in this moment as you're hearing it, and to write down your current monthly business expense and income. I'm trying to encourage you to start with the financial aspect of this, because like I said, that's probably one of the huge reasons and goals why you're doing what you're doing. And so this simple financial audit can reveal areas where you need to have better management, because if you don't have it now, you need to start asking for help. And sometimes some of you and some of us can actually do that help with the help of AI into these built-in budgeting apps, and that's enough for us. But sometimes we actually need somebody's physical eyes on our accounts, on our expenses, and where our money is going, and not just your own eyes, but other people's eyes. So that's the first one. Just make a list. Just look at all your budgeting. Look at all your expenses. Where is your money? How much are you actually bringing in a month? How much are you actually needing to spend? How much can you actually pay yourself in excess? How much can go into the business or be reinvested, etc. And I'm going to give you one more. If you want to take a bonus action step, this is just for you, is identify one task you're currently doing right now that could be delegated. That's huge. What are you doing right now? And I need to start taking this into consideration even as I'm giving. So I'm preaching to the choir here. Is, again, identify one task that can be delegated right now. Something that I'm doing, something that you're doing, something that's on your to-do list. I have my to-do list right here in front of me. I have so many to-do lists. But there are so many things that I could actually delegate. And so that's my encouragement to you, is hand it off to somebody. And then learn managerial skills as you're doing that. So this is your first step toward better time management as well. So again, the 2 action steps that I'm giving you are for financial management and time management. And again, I hope that this was helpful for you. If it is, please like, share, subscribe, and follow if you're on the podcast. And share it with somebody who you know is off to the races and is on their way to starting their own business and their own startup. And I hope that it would help them as much as it has been helpful for me to reflect on my own business. And again, thank you for joining Playbook Podcast. Again, I am Gus, your host and founder of Gwinnett Business Hub, and I'll see you on the next one.